an explanation of what is next, what is missing. Before diving into time remapping, let's quickly review the GS NLE architecture. At the top, we have GStreamer Editing Services. It's a high-level API that applications use. It provides concepts like clips, layers for organizing clips, the layers for organizing clips, and then it also adds media asset management, and it offers a GS pipeline class, which is a subclass of GST pipeline that makes it simple to play or render the timelines. Timelines can be used in any GST pipeline, as it's just a bin. Well, GS pipeline handles a few details that you will have to handle manually otherwise, and makes, well, using GS timeline simpler. And then you have GS that uses the nonlinear engine, which is a GStreamer plugin that provides specialized bins for building pipelines on the fly to represent the timeline that you have at the GS level. The key elements are the NLE composition, which orchestrates everything. And then you have NLE source for the media source. And you can use any source element basically inside of it, GStreamer source element. And then you have NLE operation, which can be used with filters inside. So you could have a compositor, for example. You can have, well, time effects in that case will be contained in the NLE operation. So that's where time remapping happens in practice in NLE, and that's where inside the time effects you will have the time transformation. Sorry about that. Coordinates as data flow through the pipeline. So time remapping is about playing media at a different speed rates than it was recorded, but actually changing the media data itself, or its metadata, depending on the implementation, as opposed to what is done when you seek a GStreamer pipeline with a rate that is different than 1.0. In that case, only the sync elements change the speed at which it consumes the data. But here for time remapping, especially for video editing, we have to change the data of the media itself, right? It's simple. If you apply a 0.5 rate to a clip, 10 seconds of input media becomes 20 seconds in your timeline. That's slow motion. And with a 2.0x rate, 10 seconds becomes 5 seconds. So it's playing faster, fast forward. And then reverse playback is another form of time remapping where we are going backwards through the media stream, right? Yeah. In GS, you can apply these effects per clip in the timeline, which means different clips can have different speeds. And the timeline needs to handle the different time coordinates transformation correctly. So time effects in GS, as I was mentioning before, it was started, the architecture role definition was started in 2020. And the key design goal was flexibility. What we wanted is to allow any elements to be a time effect, avoiding locking users onto specific built-in elements. GS provides the API for user to declare element as time effects, and GStreamer handles the coordinate conversions automatically. This means users can implement custom time remapping elements today. The architecture also supports a nonlinear transformation, well, I mean keyframe transformation with a complex time transformation. Theoretically, it already works and the design allows that, but as no elements really handles that upstream, it probably doesn't work. So it's for the future. The API is straightforward. The user registers which element properties affect timing and provide forward and inverse transformation functions. This is required so GS can know what actual media time corresponds to a given timeline time and ensure that clip-in points and duration properties are valid. So it ensures that the timeline is consistent and is correct, and you won't try to read media that doesn't exist on the source files. You know. There are a few constraints with the current system to ensure that everything works correctly. The functions must be monotonic. The rate conversion function must be monotonic, reversible, and zero at origin. In practice, we don't really have use cases where that is really limiting. Right now, video rate and pitch implement constant rate transformation, and as our registers as such in GES itself. We are also considering adding APIs in GStElement or maybe some specific G interface so that element can register themselves as time effects directly without requiring any API at the GS level. And it might be useful for other use cases, although I don't really have any in mind. So one constraint that the NLE plugin enforces is that time effect must have an endpoint set to 0. Basically, the way it handles 6 and everything makes it that the ghost pads can handle endpoints offset, but it cannot undo it if the rate is changing. So you won't be able to set an endpoint to time effects. We have a way to enforce that, and yeah, so it's a small limitation, but in practice it's not a big problem, or it's not a problem at all. At the NLE level, time effects work automatically once GS sets everything correctly. Basically, when you have a time effect, when you seek the events, the seek events flows upstream and time effects transform it. That's a design choice that was made when the pitch element was implemented back in 2006, and it sets the constraint that we had to work with when we started implementing all the time effects management inside GS. Basically, time effect that gets a seek adjusts the seek's values according to its rate changing properties. In the sense that if it gets some seek value for its current position and its stop, it will modify the two values based on the rate that is applied to it, so that it gets the necessary media stream that. So that in the end, when it gets back the segments that is coming into it upstream of it will just send the segments that corresponds to the seek, and it will transform the segment back to exactly what the seek was requesting. And well, at the GS and NLE layer, there is not much to be added. So the time effects element that we have upstream right now in GStreamer are video rate for video time remapping and pitch for audio time remapping. So video rate, well, as you probably all know, was originally designed for frame rate conversion, changing from one frame rate to another, either dropping frames or copying frames. But in 2013, we started thinking about implementing time effects in GS. And Joris Valet, who was a JSOC student back then, implemented the rate property inside the video rate element. What was implemented back then was working for very basic use cases, and there were design issue where upstream and downstream time domains were basically mixed together, and it was creating many issues. So we finally had the time now to fix all that, and we properly decouple the time domains internally in video rate now, so that everything is correct and you can have real rate changing with video rate, and that also works with GS and any other places where you actually need to have time changing operations, right? And we fixed a few other things around QoS events and all that. The result of the work that we did was that now you can actually change the rate property live while playing, and everything is tested and is correct. Like you can. So that means that in practice, that we now have the first part of keyframe rate changes, where we will be able to animate the rate property, control it, etc. But there are a few things that will remain under infrastructure style. In the implementation, it's done. A video rate, right? For audio time remapping, we use the pitch elements, which relies on the SunTouch library for time stretching and pitch shifting. SunTouch uses the waveform similarity overlap add algorithm. It's also the library that is used on Audacity, the open source audio editor. And there is also SBSMS. That is another algorithm that has better audio quality. So that might be something that we might want to look at some point. In 2024, Loïc Lepage added reverse playback support in the pitch element, which is also very interesting for us, right? Also, one interesting challenge that we had in GS in particular was that at cut points, we used to have artifacts, like when you have two clips that are stick together, well, the same audio, and you are doing a time transformation for the audio, basically because to be able to implement the algorithm, the SoundTouch needs a context, so it's to be able to interpolate the samples. And in the end, what we needed is to have to seek a bit before on the cut points, so that we could have the necessary context to avoid when you stitch two audio streams together, so that there is no artifacts anymore. And then, well, at the element level, you just drop like the extra samples that you don't need, but at least you can have exactly the right wave, the right samples. Also, we implemented reverse playback. Well, it has been started a long time ago, and then we finally merged it this year. It's just a reverse property on NLE source. When you enable reverse on a clip, NLE source sends 6 with negative rate to the source element internally, but then uses identity with single segment equal true to resegment the stream so that it looks like a forward playback externally. For audio, we also needed to plug a scale tempo element that just reverses the samples. So that this keeps reverse playback local to the clip. The rest of the timeline doesn't actually know that, and it doesn't care that this media has been reversed, right? And this way, it also works with time remapping, and so you can have reverse slow motion or things like that. And it works all fine. Yeah. So looking ahead, the main work that is remaining is making time remapping properties controllable. This is a bit more complex than one can think, especially since we have the processing already able to do that, because we need to properly compute the time transformation integrating over the rate curve, right? And once implemented, we'll be able to smoothly transition from normal speed to slow motion while playing, and then go fast forward and things like that on the same clip. It's not so much work to do, but it's not done yet, right? And for video, we want to implement an element that does frame interpolation to improve quality during slow motion in particular. So, yeah, that's also something that we'll have to work on. For audio quality, the audio quality of pitch is not ideal. And we are considering implementing another element, maybe based on SBSMS, like Audacity does, or there are also some Rust crates that implement this, and we will have to investigate what is best for us and what is really required. And on the performance side, we can disable pre-seeking optimization in your ID code pool source. That's something I explained last year. With time effects, it still creates some issues. So for now, it's not enabled yet. Conclusion, time remapping is stable now in GS after years of development on different parts. Constant rate changes works reliably across the stack. Reverse playback is supported and works with time remapping. And the framework is ready to handle like control and dynamic rate property changes. So, yeah. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Okay, so you're live.
7 minutes.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. Well, this one was together. It's exactly just with that.
Is there a use case for it?
Yeah.
So that's not